Hey guys, Coldbrew here. Welcome back to another video. We have the Gnut Fusion starting this Monday, and what better way to get prepared than watching this video, right? Gnut will be a champion that will be key for the Fire Knight dungeon, all right? Both normal and the hard version, we're speculating, okay? Just by looking at his kit, which I saw yesterday, didn't make a dedicated video, but we know that he'll be at least useful in there, at least maybe to difficulty 6 on the hard mode, and definitely to 25 for the normal Fire Knight. So having that in mind, this fusion seems to be worth it. It will be a classic fusion, and by that said, you will need to fuse up the epics, level up the epics, and then with all that available, fuse them all together to make the champion. That's how those go. They're not like fragment collection events. You need to make sure that you collect through all the rares, fuse them all together, level them up, ascend them. So the requirements to get the fusion are naturally higher most of the time, since you are doing the same kind of events and tournaments as usual. You get the champions, but then you also need to level them up, ascend them, and fuse them together. So the requirements are usually a little bit higher. The key thing when going into a fusion, any fusion, is being prepared, okay? And there's multiple different ways that you can prepare. Hopefully I'll cover them in this video, so stay with me here. Let's get started, okay? Gnut, we say he's great. So what you need to be doing, okay? All these summoning events that are going in right now, or the artifact enhancement, there's a Fire Knight going on, you need to ignore until Monday when the Gnut fusion events start. We'll have a schedule up and going, and on Monday I should be able to make another video covering those more in depth. But for now, you need to ignore everything. Start up with the fusion warm-up event and start gathering up those points for it. Especially if you are on a newer account, you shouldn't be collecting the energy like I have done. You should just be doing the fusions and let them sit there, because any kind of event, the rewards will go to your inbox, okay? The energy rewards will go to your inbox for 6 days once the event is over, so you can have them there. Don't claim them. So have the 50 energy as an example, or the 100 energy right here available for you to pick up from Monday and beyond when this is over. So 3 days from now, 4 days actually, because the events take 1 more day to finish. With that being said, it's a good thing to start collecting up your energy that you might have, and actually don't use any of your energy right now. You go over the limit, which you'll be losing the daily regen kind of energy that you are getting, but you'll have more energy for Monday, and you might lose some energy now through the region, but at least you'll have some energy right there. The way that you get energy for free is obviously right here. You get the daily playtime rewards. That's an easy amount of energy. You get some energy here from 5 arena battles. You get some weekly rewards from energy right here. You can either claim them or leave them there, but if it's going to be resetting your weekly quest, might as well pick them up, go over the 130, and be prepared for Monday. Monthly, the same thing goes for there. If you've got some energy, keep it there. If not, then we can carry on to the advanced quest. The advanced quest, you need to start doing them and focus on the energy ones. And if you can finish the whole thing, okay, if you can finish all of these, then you can get another refresh going on there to pick up even more energy to be prepared for when the fusion comes. Since the fusion is a classical fusion, you'll also need a good amount of potions in order to ascend the champions. And based on just the image that we have here, the information that we have, it's going to be limited to at least 3 epic champions, 3 of the same epic champions. So the requirements for having each of the, we don't know the affinities yet. Each of the affinities will be a little bit higher than usual. So with that being said, you can start farming up, or if you have them already, then you're good. Start farming up a little bit more of the potions to have available when the fusion is going, so you don't need to jump in and start farming for the fusion, okay? So you don't need to, okay, I need to do some potion keeps because I'm low in that specific affinity. So make sure you have, I would say, at least 100 of each of the affinities. It's very rare that they'll do a void right here, so that is not a requirement. But since it's a weekend, coming in a weekend on Sunday, might as well make sure you have at least 100 of the greater voids. You might think that's a lot, but certainly for the arcanes, you need a lot of those already, because arcanes are usually used in every single ascension of a champion. Especially epics even require the superior ones. Like if we have a look at an example right here, if I do have an epic here that I can ascend, right? Let's see, Warcaster here. He needs superiors to go from a 4-star to a 5-star, and 5 stars are required for the epics at the end of the fusion, right before you fuse them into a legendary. So farming for superiors as well will need to be part of your farming routine. Okay. For me personally, I have a lot of these saved up, and the reason for it is because I'm doing clan boss, guys. We emphasize, as content creator, we say every single day, every single time we make a video on, you know, these kind of efficiencies, we say do your clan boss. There's a reason we say that, because eventually you'll reach the ultra nightmare clan boss, and the rewards here, which are superior potions, really stack up as the days pass. And with more time, with patience, if you're not using them immediately once you acquire them, you should be able to have a good amount of potions without even actually farming the potion keeps. Okay, the same thing goes for nightmare. You can even get the greater ones, and as you go with maybe multiple teams, or with just one very good team that can one key the whole thing here, one key, and one key, you'll be getting tons of potions every week if you gather them all together. So that's it in terms of potions. In terms of chickens required, because as I said, the classical fusion, you do require to level up champions. The chickens are not really a requirement here. You don't need specifically chickens or, you know, champions that are just there as food champions. You don't need to be really prepared for that. It's good. It's going to help you with the champion training, but just have in mind that there will be champion training events and tournaments for the 2 weeks that usually a fusion goes for. So having that in mind, you'll know that you'll need to be leveling up champions anyway. The most ideal way is to level up your champions to a little bit right before you feed them, and that's how you get more points. But that is more of, you know, the strategies for champion training specifically. Okay, and having that in mind, you can adjust your efficiency with that. So I'm not really gonna say you need to have food ready, because you'll level it up, but having it helps things up, speed things up, and not force you to use energy instead. And the same thing goes with brews. You don't need to have obviously this insane amount of brews, because I've been playing for literally years, right? You don't need all this amount of brews to complete a fusion, but having some brews is good to help you with instantly leveling up a champion while you're in a pinch, and you say, okay, I'll spend a lot of energy if I do this. Do I have the brews? You can do that, but have in mind that leveling up champions using brews costs not only the brews, okay, but it also costs a ton of silver. So just an example, just leveling up this Orsign Ice Crusher to 40, all right, that's 168k of silver, and those add up as you level up more and more using your brews. And of course, brews are very specific. You need to be matching them with the affinities, right? Do not go and do a mistake of, okay, I don't have the forest brews, I'll use the magic brews. Okay, if you use the magic brews instead of 24, look at that, you need 36. So it's way more inefficient to actually use a different affinity. But that being said, if you have an insane amount more of a specific affinity, let's say voids, because for whatever reason you have lots of voids, you can start doing it, but do not overdo it. Have in mind that you'll eventually need voids as well. Okay, but most of the time voids stack up, because summoning void champions, you need void shards, and those are more difficult to get. So you usually have more voids than anything else, unless you specifically are using them already. So silver, I touched on the subject of silver a little bit. Silver is a key component of artifact enhancement events. Those pop up and require, just reminding myself of the amount of points we needed, about 4,775, somewhere there in the past. So let's say a champion is placed right there, a rare champion is placed right there at the spot of the 50 gems. You're gonna need, I will say, at least 20 million silver, especially if you don't have lots of gear that has not been leveled up already. So if you have multiple pieces of gear that are sitting maybe at level 12 and need to be taken to 16, that's a higher cost, and you should be leveling up your gear first and then your accessories. Accessories take more silver, especially if you are low on silver. Have that in mind as a general efficiency role. And do not level up your gear blindly. Level up the things that you're actually going to be using, since that will actually be impactful for your account in the long term and make a difference for your account. Okay, if you're just leveling gear that is just there and you know you want to equip it, you won't be affecting much. Okay, if you have the silver, it makes it much easier to handle these artifact enhancements. And if not, then you need to farm it and actively save it. I would say from maybe today. And a good way to actually farm silver without really using any resources is the forge. And how do you farm the forge? You farm it either from, both ways, not either, both from the faction wars. Okay, faction wars very strong, and you do get some resources right here, which are the epic and legendary materials, or whatever stage you're farming. You can actually craft stuff, and then doing arena, so you get your crafting material. And Doom Tower. Okay, Doom Tower is another very specific spot for farming gear. You use your silver keys right there, and with those silver keys you can actually get the material needed to do some crafting for Doom Tower specific gear. Okay, whatever level you're farming in the Doom Tower, you can either do normal or hard or whatever boss. You'll start ramping up in terms of the materials available for you. Okay, and these materials you can start using up as a way to secure some silver that you didn't know you had, right? So let's say I just wanted to craft the 3 to 4 stars. Obviously I won't use them for my account, but I can craft 290 items right now with what I have available. Just look at the magic steel that I have. It's insane. I just need to do more arena battles, but I just don't do them, right? So magic steel, you'll need to have it to be able to craft more, regardless of what you have available in terms of resources. And let's say I do want to craft all of this. This cost me 1,000, and I'll get back an item of whatever quality, and I can sell it for 13,000. So it's a 13x my investment already. All right, if it's a 3-star, it's obviously going to be lower in terms of the silver that I get. So 9,000, so that's a 9 times my investment. So it's a good way to secure some silver that you didn't know you had, because you do have it, as long as you're farming these spots like the faction wars, which gives you these materials, and the Doom Tower, which gives you these materials. If you do the Forge Pass, you'll also get these materials right here from the Forge Pass, but that's a different discussion. Okay, if you're buying it, you're also in the spender category, which, if you're in the spender category or considering being in the spender category, I would say the best value is this one, obviously. And as your spending budget is higher and higher, you can buy different packs. But for me personally, I think the daily gem pack is okay. It's the most reasonable for most people. And the Forge Pass, not the Forge Pass pack, but the Forge Pass here is good when the set is worth it. Right now, I don't feel like the speed set is really worth it, at least for me personally. Only a couple of subjects left in terms of fusion prep, guys. One of them is dungeons. There will be a tournament for each one of the 4 dungeons right here. If we have, you know, a classical fusion and they don't bring in something that is completely new to us, yes, this is what we'll have. We'll have an Ice Golem tournament, Dragon, Spider, Fire Knight. You should be able to compete in all of those to a specific level, okay? And I will clarify some of the breakpoints to have in mind. If you're not an endgame player and you cannot farm hard mode 10 of, let's say, Dragon and Spider, obviously there's different levels that you can farm for more efficiency. Okay, you can't even go into the hard mode, can't even farm 25, just drop into difficulty 20. Okay, of the normal, drop to difficulty 20. It's not a bad investment to farm on 20, comparing it to 25 or hard 10. If you are somebody who's struggling, or you know you won't have the time to have your PC open or your phone open to farm the 25s, which might take longer, just farm 20. The points you'll get will still be good enough for the amount of energy spent for you to complete the tournaments that are available. And obviously this is way quicker for most people, and it's efficient. You still get the 5 or 6 star gear. It makes sense to do it in terms of farming. If you're a brand new player, still struggling, especially with the other dungeons, Stage 16 is also a good spot. It's like a break point here where you start not getting the brews and mystery shards from killing the boss. And then 13 is, I would say, the other breakpoint, which I'd say farm here if you are gonna, because stage 13 is where you start getting the 6-star gear. Obviously, if you can farm a little bit higher, like let's say you can farm 15, do 15, okay? But you can't do 16, still do 15. But most of the time, if you can do 15, you can do 16 as well, because this is void affinity, so you won't be impacted so much. But that's it for dragon. Usually this problem will rise in ice golem and fire knight and spider most of the time, especially if you don't have artac, which I doubt any people watching the video right now don't have artac. So that's in terms of dungeons. In terms of arenas, there will only be a classic arena kind of tournament that we're used to, and usually these are much easier to do. But having it in mind, make sure that you have a team that can do you know, your arena and can actually farm, because there will be an arena tournament with a champion as a reward in the end. Having that in mind, you can drop in with not using your defense right there in the arenas. Have a very weak champion in there. He'll be getting attacked a lot, and by getting attacked, he'll drop your ranking, and you'll be able to farm easier teams possibly, right? And then finally, the biggest issue with fusion prep is shards. Unfortunately, shards are what make things work in terms of the fusion. There's no way around it. You'll have to summon. So mystery shards is it's a way for you to actually, guys, it's a way for you to actually get some points. That being said, depending on what kind of event or summoning tournament we have, make sure you have enough of these available to get the fusion done, right? Let's say you don't have them, it will be impossible to actually acquire enough, I would say, for the points usually required to get the champions. Can you summon for the fusion required champions? It's very random that you'll get them. It's very, very difficult, especially with mystery shards as an example, or even ancient shards. Just summoning blindly to get a champion needed for a fusion, a classical fusion, is just RNG. You either get them, but most likely you won't, just because of the sheer amount of champions we currently have in the game. And so far, they've never done like a 10x event during a fusion, which is something that they should have done, honestly, just to make things make sense. If you're somebody who's keeping past fusions right here, this is an easy way to get some points for summoning tournaments. But if you're somebody who's also keeping these for CVC, then just do summons and not do your fragments, like I'm gonna probably do. I'll do summons instead, because I've got a lot of sacreds from just saving up and not using them. So guys, this was the fusion prep video. I hope you found it helpful. Gnud, even though we don't, as I said, even though we don't have any info on his actual multipliers or how he's gonna work, just by reading through his kit, which I saw yesterday, applying a decreased attack a weekend, triple hitting a one that can become a freezing attack when the decreased perimeter is not landing. So let's say for the Fire Knight, this makes his kit very useful and impactful for making teams for one of the most difficult dungeons, I would say, in Raid. And that's it. That's it for this video, guys. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. See ya.